Hello, hello, and good day, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me in this time, in this space, on this live stream, and being here with me just in this existence. We are all pieces of the puzzle called life, and it is a pleasure to be a reflection and to receive your reflections, and for all of us to make up the entire puzzle that is life and existence. So today I'm really excited to continue the conversation about Heal the Healers. Heal the Healers is an initiative that I began from my own perspective through my own vision of what I would like to see for those individuals that fall under the spectrum of healers, of space holders, of supporters, of educators, first responders, birth workers, death workers, all the individuals that serve the masses in some way, shape, or form that allow the masses to be whole, to heal, wanting to create support for them, garner support, resources, help them attend to their self-care so that we can show up more fully for you as we support you in your self-care. So my name is Onyi. I also go by ONYI LOVE, and you can find out more about Heal the Healers through this conversation and by also going to www.onyi.love. That's ONYI.LOVE. And I'll have links in the comments, in the information, in the caption for this initiative and also for my guests. And I am so excited to have the guests that I have today, because for me, they, like many people, and they in particular in their own very particular ways, don't often receive what I feel is their due respect, their due support, given the nature of what they do for the collective, the space they hold. And I would love to see a huge shift collectively when it comes to that. We have a birth worker, and I'll describe more. We have a death worker, and I'll describe more, and they'll have the opportunity to describe themselves. And listening to their experiences being on those sides of the spectrum when it comes to life, entering into life, exiting life, physical life, and what they're holding space for when it comes to that transition, to me is so powerful. And knowing the support they need so they can do that work and be grounded and centered and feel held is crucial, absolutely crucial. So I'm gonna bring my guests on. So let me bring them onto our screen. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. Let me see if let me put this on our gallery view. Ah, there we go. Haha, yes. Welcome, powerful queen, king, leader, energy holder, space, all the things. Any description that I give is not gonna be, it's just not gonna do any justice. So I'm just gonna give brief descriptions and then let you describe yourselves as you see yourselves for the peoples out there. So I would first like to introduce Haize Hawke. Haize is a heart-led spiritual facilitator, mentor, and master doula, a life coach, a student midwife, the birth Intuit, and creator of the Haize Way, and founder of the Get Rooted Doula training platform, which I was part of, and it was amazing. It created all these activations, but she can talk more about that. And she's just an amazing and incredible woman, and I love her. And I'm gonna actually introduce Tonya as well, but I'm gonna then go back to Haize, have you describe yourself, Tonya describe yourself, and then we'll continue our conversation. Tonya is someone that I've recently met who responded to the call that I put out there for those individuals who work with death and transition and end of life. So Tonya is a grief worker and death doula, and she actually has an interesting story for herself regarding her transition from calling herself a death doula to a grief worker. And I just really appreciate the communication that we've had during this short period of time that, to me, just again creates a wonderful opportunity for the collective to see, to hear, to feel what you require for your own self-care, for your own support so that you can support individuals as they're going through this process that you have signed up to companion. So thank you both for being here, for taking time out of your busy schedules. I know at any given point, y'all could have been like, hey, I gotta go help someone, but you were here. And I just really love and appreciate you, love and appreciate the work that you do. And I pray that you receive all the support that you never even knew you needed 50 million times over. So, Haize, I will have you start and describe who you are unto yourself.
Okay, I think when I think of myself, one of the reasons why I have in my title Heart Led is because I believe wholeheartedly, pun intended, in love and in the energy of love, in the magic of love, in the fierceness of love, in the strength of love. And everything I'm doing is from the intelligence of the heart. I'm leading with that. And so I would say about myself that I am a person who believes and sees love in all things, in all people, in all beings, in all moments. I am a seeker of interaction. I love people. I love getting to know people. I love hearing people's stories. So I kind of feel that I am a rainbow bridge into that person's transformation. I just feel like I'm always seeing and calling them forth and calling them out and up and lifting them. I'm an artist. I'm somebody who loves the theater and loves dance and loves music and all the things about the spiritual nature of the creative forces. I'm just enamored by all of it. And yeah, I think that's who I would say I am. And a mommy.
High key, low key, I kind of like that you put mommy at the end because I know that for a lot of people, they can imagine that that is their most important job, and not to take away the importance of that role. And I think our society has trained us as female bodied persons to say, you must do this and everything else is secondary. But it's like, no, everything else is kind of weighted with equity and or that is
Right?
all I have, but it's I'm gonna put it right here. So
Exactly. And I got that knowledge and that information from my children. Like they hipped me to that. And now it informs my work, which is brilliant. I'm really grateful for them for that.
I love it. Thanks so much, Haize.
Yeah.
Miss Abernathy.
Hello. I, as you said, have transitioned away from calling myself a death doula to being a grief worker because it has come to my attention during pandemic that people are grieving many things. Not only are they grieving the loss of loved ones, but potentially dreams or jobs or homes. People are having anxiety and grief environmentally, just about what's going on with the planet. And I found much of what I do with death doula work applicable to the grief process in general, no matter where it's coming from, what place it's coming from, and creating ways to hold and be a balm and witness and help people organize and integrate this range of deep, sometimes frightening emotion. I also am a musician. I'm a singer. So most summers I'm actually touring and singing. I do sound baths. I use song and vibration and sound bath bedside, helping people die, as well as helping hold grief rituals, community grief rituals. I really believe in having people come together in community to grieve together. It's powerful. It holds a lot of beautiful energy. And I too, my prayer is always to live a heart and love-led life May all that I do be a prayer and be from a place of deep integrity and love, and be love out in the world, and model empathetically and compassionately caring for one another, and hold everyone as the beautiful gift that they are. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love the connection of the heart energy between the two of you and amongst the three of us, because I would say that that's a very strong thing for all of us. And even looking at my screen, it's like, oh, a heart with the two, and then so it's like, right. And understanding of love, and in my perspective, to love is to see and to allow to be the full spectrum, which life does. Life is just love. Life allows all of it. Life is not like that's better, that's worse, and you're not valid. It's like you're here, so you get to be here. That is our unconditional love. If you do some things that like are a hot mess, life's like, you get to be a hot mess, and we love you. You're the hot mess things, and you'll see what that brings along, and you get to learn from that. So I think that's really beautiful, that that is a foundation of, or a common thread that weaves through your work. And what's also interesting to me, and piggybacking off of something you said, Tonya, about that transition from death doula to grief worker is, we always kind of minimize or reduce death to the physical death of our bodies, and human bodies in particular. Let's be clear, because we place things on a hierarchy, and we don't often consider the process of dying or letting go of or losing other things that create whatever emotional responses they create within people, that then can have a ripple effect into their mental responses, their physical responses. So your work is not just the physical death of the body, that's there, but you're like, no, I'm companioning death and ending in a lot of different ways. And I would say for you too, Haize, that's similar. It's not just a physical birth of a human baby, which that's a big part of it. And there's all the different protocols and tools and all the things that you need to know to allow that to safely happen. But you are holding space for the birthing of energy, period.
Mm. I love that you said that. That's one of the things most people, when they say, "Oh, you're a doula, you're a student midwife, it must be so great to be around those babies," and so much more, because the parents are birthing themselves as well, right? They're going through a rite of passage too, and if it's a first-time family, there's 3 babies, not just 1 baby. And they're birthing their family, they're birthing themselves, they're birthing their relationship, they're birthing their home, and babies have a way of clearing the field, and things falling away that no longer serve or not going to be conduits of that baby's energy. Relationships, jobs, all of that kinds of, it can fall away. So it's not just, oh, this family is hiring me to help them have a baby. This family is hiring me to help me support them birthing themselves through this transformative event, this event that they recognize as sacred. So great. I love that.
I mean, I know I took your Get Rooted training program, and I felt like I had a rebrand. I mean, you literally watched me as I was like, I need to get off this workshop right now because I'm going through something. And that was birthing a recognition of what my purpose is, or at least a major part of my purpose. So it's like, again, it's like I think we can get so caught up in these titles. And again, speaking to your point, Tonya, of like, let me move away from this one title that feels a bit limiting because it
Yeah.
doesn't really fully encompass what I do. And let
Mm-hmm.
me pick a different title, which I think the titles in and of themselves are limiting regardless. But it's like, what are the titles we can use that are a bit more expansive and
Absolutely.
speak to what I'm doing in a bigger way than just this one thing that we as a collective have always focused on in this particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's interesting, and I would love for you two to have a conversation about this because I was like, oh my God, as you were talking, Haize, when you were talking about, because you did mention death as well, because the birth is happening, but without death, birth can't happen.
Not at all.
And without a birthing of something, death doesn't happen, or death is, you know, creating space or opening the doors for something to birth. So it's like with you too, and this is interesting. I've been feeling the Oya energy like very strongly today. And Oya is a deity in Orisha within the Yoruba cosmology system tradition that deals with transition, transformation, one thing completely changing into another state. Deals with our ancestors. So the things that came before us and also past, present, future all exist now. So our ancestors existed, they will exist in the future. We are the ancestors, future generations are the ancestors. So this idea of the constant shifting and changing of things, that wind energy, that uprooting energy, without the uprooting, you can't see the newness or give space for the newness. So there's this interesting interplay to where it's almost like you're both life and death workers, but then you're more like, Haize, you're more like, okay, but the energy for you is more on the life side. And then Tonya, for you is more on the death side, but you're both like in this same energy, which is like life, death, death, life. One of the same.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love to speak to that. Actually, Tonya and I were actually kind of touching into that a little bit because there are so many similarities for being, a birth doula, labor doula, and a death doula, loss doula, which I have done both of those things. But we were speaking about the respect aspect of it. And we were speaking about the way that, birth is celebrated and there's so much joy and that acknowledging of that first breath. And yet when I am being a death doula or a loss doula, there can be an acknowledgement and celebration, which I learned when I went to Africa, the celebration of that life at death. And it's so beautiful. And that last breath is so similar to the first breath. And it's the whole cycle is beautiful. And when I'm on a journey with a birthing woman, and she's walking that labyrinth and she's meeting herself. And, there's a lot of little deaths on the way to that birth, and they have to be okay with that. And so my preparation for them is preparing the way for them to have these small deaths and to acknowledge them. And then when they get to that point where life is about to come through that sacred portal, I always let them know that they can see life and death. It's an interplay, and you can see which way. Oh, I could go this way, or I could go that way. It's so prevalent, and it can be really frightening for them. And I really invite them to have it be a part of their existence because they are the same size of the same, it's the same. And the more that they can embrace it and not be fearful of it, the more they can actually live their life. Who was that's mentioned the importance of being okay with your death because then you're really living your life? I think it was James Baldwin, speaking to Maya Angelou. Am I making that up? I don't think so. It's a beautiful conversation, and I remember it so prevalently. And I just thought, yeah, absolutely. You gotta be acknowledging that that's the next adventure so that you're really present to the one that you're on right now.
I absolutely agree. It's something that I say all the time. I often say birth and death is the same door. You know, it's just an opening into the universe and the energy of life force coming in and out. I would love to see people celebrating death the way they celebrate birth in this country. I constantly talk to people about planning their death and considering their death and normalizing that in their mind and in conversation, with the purpose of creating beautiful death. I think it's a birthright, and I think everyone deserves to have a beautiful death and be celebrated. You know, it's what I do when I'm there. I come into the room and people are very frightened. Often you dealing with people, partners, children who are so afraid of the moment to come that they're not in the moment they're experiencing, and to gently, lovingly pull them back in and say, yes, but you could be recording songs that you sing together. You could be recording stories instead of being afraid of this moment. And we can be joyful. You know, they're doing a great job now. They did a good job their entire life. And there's nothing to be sad about in that. You know, you can choose to be happy right now, because you will grieve for the rest of your life. This is someone that you love, and it's going to become part of your existence. So you can accept it now and really live this moment here now.
I totally agree with that, and feel that so deeply, and love that you just said it the way you just said it. Is perfect. A beautiful death, you know, a beautiful death. I learned from my indigenous brothers and sisters on doing different sweat lodges and Inipi work and being on different reservations about having a good death, a conscious death. And that I took with me and really worked on it, because I could see how that is done and how they consciously live that. And I thought, wouldn't that be wonderful to do with birth, to have it be a consciously beautiful, powerful birth. You know? And it wasn't until I went to Africa and to India to see the way they hold death that I was like, oh my gosh, this is really something. This is really something I want to be able to bring to people and have them drop into that and see what they can create, because that would change everything, absolutely everything. And it was so gratifying and heartwarming to see the generations in these homes that embrace life and death, because it's still in their homes. It's removed from our homes here in America, but in some of these other countries, it's still right there. It's so palpable and it's so beautiful, and there is an understanding of it. So even children are not afraid of it. And yeah, it's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift.
I feel like it informs the culture around deep joy. You know, it gives you deep joy. I did a pilgrimage in India as well, and I would spend the mornings on the Ganges, and we were very near the fire where they would burn the bodies, and you know, the yogis that consume the bodies. And yes, standing there and taking it all in a sensory way, the smells, the colors, everyone just mixing and mingling, and life and death, and a beautiful party walking by, and bright colors carrying their loved one to the fire, and everyone just, yeah. And, but also business as usual, you know, because it's normal. Yeah, because it's normal. Mm-hmm. And gosh, I want that. I want that for this country, because yeah, it, I believe that it opens up spiritual pathways and enlightenment and acceptance when you don't have this hitch of fear in the middle of you for aging and for your body breaking down and for dying. You know, it's okay to die. It's a privilege to die. And if you get to live to a nice old age and maybe not even get sick, just get old and die, what a huge privilege. Don't be sad.
Yes.
Have cake. Like, that's amazing.
Exactly. To acknowledge the life well lived.
Yes.
And then to say, I feel complete. I feel good. I'm
Yes.
ready to, you know, shed this and become the energy that is. I think
right.
that's beautiful too. I
Oh,
do.
me so deeply. That's, you see, I get very animated about it.
I know.
And you know, I'm constantly reminding the family, it's like, it's okay. You're all one body. You know, you may not be able to see them, but they're there. You're one body.
And they come into those births. This is also what I acknowledge them, that the ancestors always come into the birth. So you can feel them. Sometimes you can see them, but you definitely can feel them. And sometimes I can hear a little bit of them. And the same thing happens when an ancestor is getting ready to leave. A person is getting ready to leave and become an ancestor. They're there to receive them. Like when you see that cycle, that beautiful circle, I am like you. I get very emotional and very lit up because it all makes so much sense, and it's all absolutely nonsensical at the same time. And it is the divine dichotomy that's just kind of like, what? It's mind blowing. It's so beautiful.
I'm always stunned and in true awe, you know, like, what is this life that I get to regularly witness the truly awesome in the definition of the word.
Absolutely.
and hold that energy and be there. And that still that comes before, like that quiet, like vacuum that happens right before someone leaves.
And before someone comes.
Yeah, you can feel,
you know what
the
it reminds me
open.
of? Oh my gosh. It reminds me of when you get, okay, so I have traveled a lot, and a lot of times I'm going to different rainforests. I'm drawn to them. But there's sometimes when you get into that center of that forest where you don't even hear insects. You don't hear birds. You don't hear anything. It's just.
And you're like, how is it possible?
Yeah.
Like, but
it's the potential.
It's the potential. It's possibility.
Gearing up to then, like, you
Oh my gosh,
go in either direction. It's like, is it gonna go here or is it gonna go there? But it's the calm before the storm.
It's like the sound or the sound of everything. You're like, oh, this is everything. Or like, I'm in the presence of everything.
It's the energy before anything began. It's both. Oh my gosh.
It's all of it. It's just pure potential.
I've got goosebumps.
It is pure. It's, oh, okay. I'm just like, I could listen all day long, and as you've been saying things, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, just the normalizing of that energy. I remember standing at the, at the Ganges, like you're saying, in the ghats, right before, because some of the ghats are really sacred and you don't want to enter them. But just seeing how everyone was holding joy and grief at the same time, it morphed on their face. It was some of the most beautiful energy I have ever witnessed. And then when I went to Africa and saw the celebrations, the week-long celebrations of somebody leaving the planet, and then seeing them dance the coffins out in this beautiful
colors,
these regal robes and this yeah, forget about it. I was just like that. That's the energy I want around life and death. That's the energy I want around any transformation that I am blessed and privileged enough to support. That's the energy.
And I think we're ready, you know, like I think after all of this, there's going to be a good amount of the population here that need that fresh air. I believe, you know, people are not going to want to go into a carpeted building and stare at this emptied shell of their loved one. We're going to want to be outside. We're going to want to be in that real sanctuary that is our gorgeous planet, you know, and in the forest or burial forests, cemetery forests. Like this is
that beautiful one that's up in Washington.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So you know, it's why I wanted to be here today. I want to talk about it, and Black folks especially, you know, we know how to do it. I mean, New Orleans does it still, you know, they held on to that African tradition of dancing through the streets and bringing out music and bringing out more, you know, we have it, it's here, there's a thread. And I feel like as tenders, as stewards of life energies, just getting out and talking to folks and encouraging them to take it back, to bring people home, take it home, be natural. Yes, let your children engage. You know, I've transformed, you know, where it's like, hey, do you want to wash their body?
Yes,
your loved one's body. Wash the body. Here's some herbs and oil. And what you were just saying about the face, the holding of it, and you just see all of the love on their face that they hold, and you can see them, you know, because you have time to do this. You're tending. It's that last loving thing you get to do for this person that's so important to you. And you can see all of the love and the tenderness and the care, but also the resolve and the acceptance. And I feel like people are robbed of that when we don't at least offer it. At least offer it.
Yeah. I feel the same way in regards to birth. Now, in birth, there's a little bit of a different thing because you don't want everybody there, you know, staring at you and looking at you, but to have your community, your family participate in the prenatals, to listen to the baby, to talk to the baby, to learn how to do the belly massage, which is a very traditionally African thing that we've always done, and talk to the baby and do readings on the baby and have the siblings come in and learn the baby too and hear the mother's dreams and visions of that birth, that baby's birth. And then not to be there in the birth, but know that they are supporting and that energy is going, whether they're drumming, dancing, praying, whatever they're doing. And then after the baby's born and after that twin is born, the placenta, family coming in and supporting and feeding and bringing, you know, libations and flowers and gifts and leaving them and going out back into the home and preparing foods that are going to take care of this family for over 40 days is such a gift to community and our family. And especially because a lot of our people don't remember that that's what we did, you know, that's who we are.
Yes. And how much more potent and powerful and connected would we be if we took those practices and traditions back, because we remember who we are, you know, listening to you speak. And I'm like, yes, because it's womb work. So why wouldn't your community and your family come in and create another womb, that womb of care of 40 days worth of nurturing and feeding and making it warm. Yes.
I've seen so many of our men folk, our brothers, transformed and healed from being in the room, being in that space. I've seen the partners, the fathers of those young ones coming through the sacred portal, actually witnessing and getting it and transforming the way they treat the women and how they've held the women, and seeing that it's transformative and that it's sacred, and naming it, claiming it phenomenal, and breaking down in tears, healing tears that just, and then they go out and talk to their friends. And I'm like, yes, yes, transform that.
You know what it is? It's interesting, and I want to segue the conversation into the support that you need. So y'all have been hearing, you don't even if you never have a moment to meet these individuals or to experience their service, like just the excitement that they are sitting in as they describe this work, if that doesn't tell you the dedication, and that they're like, no, my spirit came to do this work. If that doesn't tell you that, I don't know. You just go somewhere else. Go somewhere else and just like take time out and like think about your life. Oh, but before I go there, it's, listening to the two of you, it's just, again, that idea of the calm before the storm, where everything converges before it like goes in whatever direction it's going to go. It's like, it sounds like with birthing, it's like the coming in of that new energy that heals, because it's like, here's all the possibilities, and like we're fresh and we haven't been conditioned and all the things. So that heals everybody that's in the space of birthing. In transition, this is energy that has been here, that has gone through what it's gone through, that is mature, that has learned whatever it learned, and is the wisdom, and that is healing as well. And we have negated the healing energy that surrounds death, because people are afraid of their own mortality. So we negate it, we don't learn from it, we either isolate or ostracize ourselves from it, or try to ostracize it from us by, let's put it over there, let's bury people over there, versus, like you were saying earlier, Haize, and also Tonya, in other cultures, traditionally, and a lot of cultures currently are kind of melding into the same idea of like, put it over there. But like literally, you are touching the bodies, you're helping burning the bodies, inhaling the smoke of the burned body, or your ancestors are literally buried in the house.
Yeah.
So it's never like over there. It's like, no, it's right here. It's intimate. It's right here. And so when we allow for that intimacy with that birthing experience or the dying experience, then we're sitting right in the midst of that potential energy, which heals. That heals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why we have the opportunity to experience it. We're supposed to, the entering and leaving of life. I don't want to say this.
Say it.
Like it's like a big bang. It's gonna go and it's gonna ripple through, like what you were saying, Haize. You like, a man will change. You will change witnessing that.
Absolutely.
And then go out in the community and change your community. So how could we be surprised that people are depressed and anxious and needing medication? Because we have this absence of beginnings and endings, because in our society, we've made it this sterile, kind of shameful feeling thing, like, oh, the body, took that away. But you can try it all you want, but it has a huge and lasting effect on us, either way. And I feel if the dirtier and grimier you get involved, get in there and get messy with it, understand those messy bits about yourself.
Exactly.
And how it feels in your body and how it lands with you, versus acting like it's not there, which then it's a blockage. So in my opinion, that's how you become sick, is when you hold something in and you block and you act like it doesn't exist, you know, but we've got to open those channels. And those are the two most important moments of one's existence.
Exactly. And in between is about the expressing of those messy bits of the things that make our hearts squeeze tight and that kind of make us feel uncomfortable. That's what, you know, I tell people all the time, the hard part is to be born. That's the hardest part. There's millions of things that have to happen at the right millisecond in order for life to happen and then to come through. And the life part is about expressing and creating and living fully, completely, so that you're ready for the next part, which is the death part, which is the life part, which is the death part, which is the life part.
That's right. And to experience both, if we get the honor of being there for those we care about in those moments, you get a deep understanding about all the ways love and loss feels in your heart, and you get an understanding of your heart and your love and the ways in which you love and how it expresses itself. And why wouldn't you want to know that?
Know that it informs the way we speak, the way we, you know, communicate to each other. And I think there's a richness and a deepening of how we connect. You know, even if we are having people over to our homes, you know, once we get back to the normalcy of that, but that it's real, that we're cooking and we're really present. We're pouring love into that food, because that food is going into these people that we absolutely adore, cherish, and love and respect. And that's going to fuel their bodies so they can do the things in the world that they are meant to do, so they can live a life that's fantastic and expressive, so they can meet their death with glory and joy on their lips. You know, it's enriching.
Yeah.
It's everything.
And reminder to people that you're being birthed and dying every single moment.
All the time.
It's like, I think that's the part that my mind just was like, but wait, why are you all afraid of it?
Why are you afraid of it? You close your eyes at night. You don't know if that's the last time, but there is somewhat of a little let go when we sleep. And when you wake up, dropping in gratitude, we woke up.
Cells are being sloshed off your cell.
Every 7 years, there's a
like millisecond. Death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. So we're walking
7 days, 7 hours, 7 years.
We're walking life and death mechanisms. So that's why I think death, and I love to personify energies. Death is like, y'all tripping, y'all afraid of me. Like, you engage with me all the time.
Yeah.
That's
little do you
if
know.
You live on the planet and you experience seasons, nature is modeling this for us all the time. And I don't understand what the hang up is about getting down and getting in with it. You know, it's a beautiful rite of passage. It's a way to understand rites of passage, something that I also feel we cheat ourselves.
We do.
Having rites of passage, you know, that respect in your community nodding to you like, yeah, you did that.
Go girl.
Yeah.
Go
in the days of your life. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's why I really wanted to bring back the red tents and why it's so important to me.
Love that.
You know, and I've seen what it does when women come together in that tent. And when I first started doing the crone tents, no, we don't acknowledge and make it a rite of passage that the bleeding, you know, that we no longer cleanse ourselves, you know, self-cleansing, but we hold on to that magic. And that's a different type of medicine. So now what do you do with that medicine? And the crone tents are so powerful. They're just like, they have a new lease on life. That's their second childhood. They're like, oh yeah, I'm free to experience this evening time, afternoon to evening time of my life. Like, what am I going to do with this? This is
another death,
everything's possible. Yeah.
Another death. and a new life. It's beautiful. I've talked about that a lot. I'm like, what are we gonna? Well, within my friend group, I'm like, what are we gonna do? Like, can we have crone parties? Like, can we like, like let's crone parties? Like, this is a celebration. Like, you got through this phase of life, and it was probably your longest companion in life is your moon, and going through this cycle, you know, again, the seasons, we bleeding people go through it every single month, you know, and it's getting the possibility of life, the possibilities, and then, you know, if there's no fertilization of that egg,
shedding of
a death.
The death. Exactly. It's one of the first relationships that we have with ourselves.
That's right.
And so if you're not fully present to what that relationship could provide for you, you're missing out on a whole self-exploration that's everything.
Incredible.
Girl,
Divine.
have phone parties.
Fine. Oh, we are. Like, don't even get started about how much naked fire dancing is about to go down.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, and you know, this is something that you had mentioned, Tonya, in our communications back and forth before this meeting, in terms of what you hope for people or what you wish the collective would do as far as their relationship with death. And I think it's similar to, you know, people's relationship with life as well, or even, again, like you said, Haize, people put a new birth, a baby, kind of on this higher pedestal, but maybe not the new life of things after a death, because they were avoiding the death part. So there's a lot of conflation and confusion that happens around life and death. But I'm curious to hear from both of you as we wrap up. You know, I'll give some time to really kind of sit, right? To sit with the idea of heal the healers, support the supporters. What do you need, you as individuals in your lines of work, what you see for your fellow servers in the fields and all the expression of the fields? Because we know, again, death work, transition work looks like so many different ways depending on kind of what your specific energy is and where you're coming in. You know, not every death is like, oh, they died in their sleep and it was peaceful. Sometimes things are traumatic, things are gruesome, and how people respond to every single circumstance is what it is, that then plays into what your role is needed for. Same thing with life. You know, not every birth is like, oh, and the baby just came out and all that. It's like sometimes things go in a direction that we didn't foresee or didn't really prefer, and we wanted this quote perfect, beautiful experience, versus considering that it's all beautiful, even if you don't prefer it, even if it doesn't go in the way you preferred. But the beauty of the situation is that you get to experience it and learn from it. So my, you know, some final questions for you, in addition to shifting our relationships with death and with birth and the potential that occurs in either of those phases of life, death, what do you feel is necessary as far as your work, you know, the ways you need support from the collective, you yourself, and what do you see for, again, the people outside of you, just your collective, in doing this work? What do you think is necessary for the collective to do, to hold space for you so that you can show up and do the work that you came here to do?
I would love to see structures put in place to be financially supported, not by the family, you know, it's a social service that would be really, just so that it would lend ease to me, you know, knowing that I would have X amount of income to live off of, so that I wouldn't have to consider it or think about it. And I can go out and do this heart-led work in an authentic way and serve people without the onus of being like, okay, well, I'm going to need this money, because I struggle with that piece personally. I would also love to see there be more of a connecting of the teams when it comes to the medical part, when people go into hospice and you're working with nurses and doctors, and having a seat at the table on that team and being taken seriously and respected and understood and listened to as the experienced person. I've been doing this for 20 years, and having more community, building community, having others like Haize, like yourself, my network that I can go to. So if I'm burned out or I'm tired or I need another resource or just a reset, a fresh idea, or say the word team again, like another team of people to say, hey, this is what's going on with this particular family. Thoughts, anyone? So it feels more connected, that we know who and where we all are, and we work together and take care of each other in a way that we understand, because we do this work and we understand one another. My fellow death worker friends, we just have really dark senses of humor, and we're all really happy, hilarious people.
Yeah.
But we laugh at some messed up stuff,
Exactly.
To have plenty of that and be able to travel around and learn from one another and spend time together and be in ceremony together. Something I have to do. I sauna a lot. I need to get that energy going. I sweat, I sauna, I do temazcal. I'm constantly praying.
Exactly.
And it would be amazing to have my peers with me while I do this and not be the only one that does that work in the space when I'm maybe navigating something that was hard. When you were talking, Onyi, earlier about the birth and the death and then being together, one of my first, where I was like, oh yes, I'm being a death doula, was a family with a small child, a 3-year-old, and they lost their baby. So it was the joy of a birth coming and that excitement and joy of that. And then in a few hours, we were preparing a funeral. And the way, that it really affected me. And if I had community, I would have wanted to lean on them at that time, navigating, talking to a 3-year-old about this and being there for the family and being there for the parents and the grandparents and being that buffer between people who don't know yet and kind of saying, look, this requires a delicacy that maybe not everyone knows how to navigate. Like, please don't act like nothing happened, but also maybe don't be in their face. So just all of the different things and having, I don't know, maybe I'm just going off. Hopefully I'm making sense, but I would love to have more systems in place, systems with medical folks, systems within my personal community with peers. I would love to have mentors. I would love to know more elders and not feel like I was creating it all on my own in the moment. I'm very confident in what I do. It's not because of that, but just because it's nice, and to have some financial security for something that is never going away, is always going to be needed, and have that be respected. I like I said in the email, and it was me being like joking, but it's like, you know, we don't bat an eye at paying a professional athlete millions of dollars and we watch them play a game. But I'm there for people's loved ones dying, and I would love some financial security too.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I absolutely concur. I am blessed to be one of the founders of a project that, on one hand, is really trying to support birthing families who believe in home birth, but on the other side of that, really trying to make sure that these birth keepers, birth workers, midwives, doulas, and different modalities around that, chiropractors, acupuncturists, and all that, sound healers, are paid for, you know, that it's covered. So we provide that funding so that everybody's needs are met. Because a lot of times we're doing things and we'll, you know, somebody wants us there and they can only afford $500 or they can only afford $1,000, and you know, everyone has to live. And so I'm really blessed that we, the Victoria Project is what it's called, and that we have this there for that. But myself personally, once I realized, because before I was not okay, I was depleted, I had adrenal fatigue, I was not well, you know, because I was doing too much and not taking care of myself. And now I have created a system for myself, and I have people who I can go to, and I support them as well. And that's another reason why I want to create these different spiral circles I was telling you about earlier, to make sure that we know how to come out of a birth and take care of ourselves. Maybe we're feeding each other. I call people, once I find out people are in a birth, I'm like, are you still there? Do you want juice? Do you want some soup? Do you want something to eat? Sometimes I just have gone through something really traumatic and I just might need to release and cry or talk it through, or just be held or heard about something. And you know, sometimes there's a lot of abuse in a space, a birth space, and you know, it could be that your clients are not happy with their outcome and you are taking the brunt of it, and you become the blame for everything. And then there's this things that are said, and you still have to like go out in the world and do your thing, but you have to know the truth about who you are and know your skill level and understand it, and know that you're not going to make everybody happy, but that you're doing the best that you can. And then coming back to a place where community supports you and heals you and sees you and tells the truth of who you are, and you can tell the truth of who you are, and then go back out there and do it again.
Yeah, clean and clear with that
Clean
whole
and clear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I on that piece, you know, to be honest, I haven't. I was doing some caregiving still, but being here in Oregon, I had to stop because as someone who lived in Atlanta and Chicago and Brooklyn and coming here to Portland, Oregon,
To Portland.
I deal with racism
Yeah,
and
that's intense.
just like walking away heartbroken and still going in there and doing the damn thing, right? You know, someone's dying, and you know, I can compartmentalize and say, well, that's just noise. But eventually I leave that space and I'm alone in my car.
Yeah, and energetically you're holding that.
Yeah.
I mean, for as beautiful as Oregon is, it's got some, oh man, I love camping there. I can't live there.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. I love going there and resetting.
Yeah.
In the woods and by the rivers and all that. But some of that energy is just really intense. And so now that I actually know you're there, I just had a conversation with somebody about Oregon today. But now that I know you're there, I can hold, when I'm doing the work at my altar, I can send you some energy, because that is just a lot there, you know. But there's people there. So we just got to hook you up with other people and community there.
Yeah. I mean, you will hear from me again.
I got you.
And I love what
Absolutely.
you were speaking to, and I think, this is not isolated to the work that you two do, but this is to the work that everyone does. In
Oh,
addition
like
to
everybody.
what comes with the specific work.
I
And
have a chiropractor. I have somebody who stretches me. I have a massage therapist or 3. Oni works on me energetically. I love it. And Jaeger works on me, Reiki and massage. Just like I have to have all these things in order to do what I'm doing. And I'm eating really well and clean. I can't just go out and be in the world willy-nilly because of the energy of the work I'm doing. It's important that I take really good care of myself. And it's not being self-absorbed or narcissistic, but to do the work that we do out there on both ends of the spectrum, we need support.
Yep.
And my love, even though you work on me and you work on all these pregnant women and other healers and other who works on you, who does the work for you, you need a safe place to rejuvenate and nourish and restore yourself and reset. We all do. And I think that's
let me just be with myself. I think that's the other part of where you're bringing in about, in addition to the energy that comes with the work you do, we also are navigating the spaces and the places we're in. So if you go to some place that's racist, homophobic,
Yep.
ableist, all the things, it's like, oh, on top of all the
top
things
of the work, there's
I gotta
that.
navigate this stuff. And sometimes the work, and I know Tonya, you were saying this where you were like, I go to the forest sometimes. I'm like, I just need to be by myself. Don't
I
call
go
me.
to I go to the forest, the desert, or the ocean,
Same.
and I don't want to talk. I don't want to
Yeah,
talk.
I have my phone
Yeah.
off. So what you can do is like, I'll let you know that I'm safe, but please don't feel away. Or if you do feel away, I get it and I appreciate it. And don't bring it to me if you feel away, because I'm taking the time I need for my self-care.
That's the most important piece. I mean, our friendships and our relationships, the one thing that I just really have to ask them is, just to give me some flexibility and some space. Just because I don't see you all the time and I'm not calling you all the time doesn't mean I don't connect with you every day or I'm not loving you so much. It's just that I need the flexibility. I can't come to every birthday party, every baby shower, every first birthday, I can't. And I love you. So I ask for a little bit of understanding around that and a little bit of compassion and flexibility for me. I give it to people because I know that's the one thing I can grace them. And it doesn't mean anything about our connection. It just means that physically we're not able to connect at that moment. Energetically, we're always there.
That's the holding of space for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think that for those of us who do this type of work, it's understood. I say the same thing. I'm like, I need a lot of time alone. I need a lot of quiet. And it doesn't mean that I don't love you. I think that folks who are on that wheel of busy, 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 those who don't know how to be alone, that's when you have those awkward conversations. And I think being a person who works with life and energy and energetics like that, we understand, like, well, you're in my heart, like nothing changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm very fortunate here. It took a minute. I've been here for 5 years. And now I have a beautiful community. They look out for me. They feed me. They support me. I do on a few times a week. I've got my acupuncturist, my therapist, my massage folks, so, and you have to, for me, it's not even all about just the medicine that I'm receiving, but just being touched, lovingly touched.
Lovingly
touched. We're intended to also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I open my home. I'm so close to some of these hospitals that I just tell the birth workers, I'm like, well, if you need to crash, just crash here. I mean, if you need some place to come and eat or shower or whatever, because I understand what that is. I've been there. So if I can provide space, I would love to, do that for people. It's important.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could do a whole series just the three of us. So we'll have discussions after
Maybe
this.
we'll have discussions about that.
And for final thoughts,
Mhm.
I would love for you to say what comes up when you heal the phrase, heal the healer. What comes up, what settles within you when you heal or feel that? Our final comments.
Heal the healers. I think what I hear when I hear that phrase is a bringing back of the pieces that we've distributed out in the world, like a coming together in a place where we can be whole, where we're filled up and supported and lovingly held.
Yes, for me, I keep seeing the word complete, whole, and to expand on that, yes, feeling safe, feeling supported, feeling sound mentally, emotionally, physically. So being able to name your needs and ask for them, ask for help.
And know that you can ask and you'll receive it.
And it'll be right there.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
Grace and ease, grace and ease.
Grace and ease. I have a shirt that says that because I'm always using that phrase. But that's it, right?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Grace and ease around all of it.
Grace and ease, keep it simple. Simple and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Can't come here to suffer and struggle.
No. And so we can choose whether why would we suffer? Why would we choose to suffer?
Beloved children of the universe, stardust that we are,
Yeah.
you can choose not to suffer.
Choose not to suffer.
Ashe. Thank you for who you are, period, and all the expressions, the full spectrum, life, death, life, everything in between that is still life, death, life. Thank you for how you show up in this world, for yourselves and for the collectives, whether or not you ever touch them physically or see them with your eyes, whether you encounter them or not, you are impacting all of us. So I thank you so much for what you do. And I pray for that grace and ease for you, for us, and that we constantly reflect that to each other as if there's nothing different that we could even fathom. So I thank you for being here. And Haize Hawke Tonya Abernathy. I will have all of their information in the description. So please love them up, support them, reach out to them, ask them how you can support them. And we got this. We're doing it. We're not going to not do it. So
exactly.
You can just help us do it in a more peaceful way.
Whether you like it or not, we're doing this.
Here we are.
But thank you for being here. And I wish I'm excited to see the ripple effects of this conversation in all the different ways, not just for individuals that do the work that you do, that we do, but just for the collective, because we're all a reflection of each other. So the more we see each other, the more we see ourselves, the more we see ourselves, the more we see each other. And that is what creates the grace and ease.
Exactly.
So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for joining me. And join us next week for a conversation that I will tell you about closer to next week. And have a beautiful rest of your day.
Mm.